Hi everyone, this is Vicki and I'm here to take you through chapter 4 in our e-commerce textbook by Gary Schneider. I'm just going to take you through some of the high points of the chapter, and hopefully if you've read through, this will help you kind of distill what you need to remember for the quiz and for the assignment this week, and give you a little additional insight into the chapter. The first thing we're going to review in this chapter is how firms use product-based and customer-based marketing strategies. Then we'll look at strategies for communication with different market segments. We'll learn how to identify customer characteristics as they move through the customer relationship life cycle. And we'll take a look at how online advertising has developed and grown. We'll start to learn a little bit about email marketing strategies. We'll talk about technology-enabled customer relationship management, how to create and maintain a brand on the web. We'll take a look at how businesses are using social media in viral marketing campaigns. And we'll talk about search engine positioning tactics and domain name selection strategies. In the not so distant past, it was an effective marketing strategy to sort of portray the man of the house as a person who worked outside the home and was rather inept inside the home. And most of the marketing was directed towards women. However, it was interesting that roles began to shift as we entered into the 21st century, and this became an ineffective and actually sometimes embarrassing tactic for advertisers. There's an infamous case in your book, 2012. Kimberly Clark ran an ad for Huggies with this type of portrayal of men, and it received a huge amount of criticism for that, which spurred it to immediately rethink its advertising, its online brand messaging, and now it regularly engages with dads or dad-focused social media outlets and participants in an annual Dad 2.0 Summit. This is a conference that is sponsored by Unilever's Dove Men Plus Care brand soap and shampoo, and it's operated by XY Media, a consulting firm that advises companies on how to appeal to fathers. In this chapter, we're going to look at how companies use advertising and marketing to develop long-term relationships with customers that their employees might never meet in person. The importance of telling an authentic, accurate, meaningful, and consistent story through online and physical channels underlies the principles of branding, marketing, relationship management, and communication that you'll learn about in this chapter. Increasingly in online marketing, companies are starting to classify customers into groups, and they're creating targeted messages for each group. Most of the companies that we're going to reference use the term marketing mix to describe a combination of elements that is used to achieve goals for selling and promoting products and services. When a company decides which elements it's going to use, it calls that particular marketing mix the marketing strategy. And most marketing classes organize the essential issues of marketing into the 4 P's: product, price, promotion, and place. Product is the physical item or service that a customer is selling. Elements like quality, design, features, characteristics, and even the packaging will make up the product. The price element is the amount that customers will pay for a product. The total cost is subtracted from the benefits that a customer derives from the product to yield an estimate of customer value that is obtained in the transaction. Promotion includes any means of spreading the word about the product. And finally, place, which is also known as distribution, is the need to have products and services available in many different locations. In Figure 4.1, you can see the 4 P's of marketing and how they contribute to the marketing strategy of a company. Under the heading of product, you've got quality, design, features, branding, packaging, and customer perception. Then you have price, which is the value to the customer, the price of competing products, customer price sensitivity, discounts, and differential pricing. Promotion is advertising, public relations, personal selling, and online communications. And then place includes things like distribution channels, market coverage, logistics, inventory management. Managers often think in terms of products and services sold. And this works well when customers think of their needs in terms of the same product categories. So there are some website examples in the book: Office Depot, Staples, and Sears. It's not really an efficient website design when customers are looking to fulfill a specific need. So you want to design your website to meet individual customer needs and offer alternative shopping paths. The example in your book is an online florist website that allows customers to specify an arrangement in terms of colors or specific flowers, yet provides a separate shopping path for a customer who just wants to buy an arrangement for a specific occasion, like Mother's Day. And the approach to this type of website design that accommodates different needs of various types of customers is called customer-based marketing strategy. The first step in building a customer-based marketing strategy is to identify groups of customers who share common characteristics, and this is often called a demographic, and then creating a website that acknowledges the differences between those groups or among those groups and treats each accordingly, makes a site more accessible and more useful to each demographic. Companies need to take a view beyond their internal perspective, and the example in your book is current university websites focus design on the needs of stakeholders who include current students, prospective students, parents of students, potential donors, and faculties. So identifying groups of potential customers or demographics is just the first steps in selling to those customers. Then another important component would be the selection of the communication media that you're going to use to carry the marketing message. So media selection, or choosing where to market and advertise a company, can be critical for an online-only firm because it does not have any type of physical presence. The only contact a potential customer might have with an online firm might be the image that it projects through the media and through its website. The challenge then for online businesses is to convince customers to trust them even though they don't have a physical presence. As we talked about in Chapter 3, the web provides a communication mode that is an intermediate step between mass media and personal contact, but it's a very broad step. Using the web to communicate with potential customers combines many of the advantages of personal contact selling with some of the cost savings of mass media. Although mass media offers the lowest level of trust, many companies continue to use it successfully because the cost can be spread over many people in its large audiences. The cost of advertising to each viewer is very low, and it's that low cost that makes mass media advertising very attractive. However, many people are becoming immune or resistant to mass media messages. I know that you've probably experienced this yourself. You tend to tune out during the commercials. There's just too many promises, too much noise, and we now have our mute buttons, and we can now record and speed past the commercials. So it's really not as successful as it once was. Any attempt to recreate mass media advertising on the web is pretty likely to fail for the same reasons. People are going to ignore or resist messages that lack content of any specific personal interest. One of the big differences is that web users are actively engaged in the medium, unlike watching television where you're more passive. So when you're on the web, you have your hands on the keyboard or you have your hands on your touch screen, and this active state of mind makes web users far more likely to really critically evaluate the advertising messages that you are seeing and less likely to accept the content of the message in a passive way, the way TV viewers might accept or may have accepted in the past. The level of complexity inherent in the product or service is an important factor in media choice. Products that have fewer characteristics or are very easy to understand can be promoted well using mass media. Because mass media is expensive to produce, most companies will use it to deliver short messages, and highly complex products and services are best promoted through personal contact, which allows the potential customer to ask questions. The web occupies a middle ground, and it can be used for delivering short but focused messages that promote, but it can also be used to deliver longer and more complex messages. A properly designed website can give potential customers the ability to choose their level of interaction, which makes it a lot more desirable and less spammy. Companies that effectively use the web to capture some of the benefits of personal contact have employed a number of different methods to do that. One of these ways is to use a blog, a web log or a blog, as an outlet for expressing. You can use it in a personal way, but companies often use blogs as a communication. They allow people two-way communication that allows customers to make comments and get replies, and can be very effective in educating and actually drawing people into the website a little more. I want to tack on to that even as we speak, more and more companies are using even faster means of communication between potential customers and the company, and that would be things like Messenger, Facebook Messenger, or Twitter is a very quick way to respond to your customers and to get feedback from your clients or customers. So the blog is still a great resource, but there are even faster ways of getting communication avenues open. And here's just a diagram 4.2, which is showing you that there's high personal contact provides the highest amount of trust and is much more necessary when you have a more complex product or service. If you're using mass media, you're probably promoting something that is lower in terms of complexity and requires less trust. So many companies had a similar response to the decrease in effectiveness of their advertising in the early days. And among these were to identify specific portions of a market and target them with specific advertising messages. This practice is called market segmentation, and it divides a pool of potential customers into groups or segments. And segments are usually defined in terms of customer characteristics such as age, gender, marital status, income level, and geographic location. Again, demographics. In the early 1990s, firms began identifying smaller and smaller market segments, and this practice became known as micro-marketing. Even though micro-marketing is an improvement over mass media advertising, it still is using the same basic approach, and it still suffers from the same weaknesses of that approach. Marketers have traditionally used three categories of variables to identify market segments. One is location. Firms tend to divide their customers into groups by where they work or live. This is called geographic segmentation. And in this type of segmentation, companies can create different combinations of marketing efforts for each geographical group of customers. A second category uses age about or information about age, gender, family size, income, education, and religion, and so forth to create a demographic segmentation. And these variables are used by traditional marketers because research has shown that customers' need for and usage of products are strongly related to their demographics. In psychographic segmentation, marketers try to group customers by variables like social class, personality, or their approach to life. An example would be an auto company that is directing advertising for a sports car to customers who describe themselves as gregarious and who have a high need for achievement. And this use of psychographic segmentation has increased drastically in recent years as marketers attempt to identify characteristic lifestyles and then design advertising to reach people who see themselves as having a particular lifestyle. You can see this in television programming and advertising. Here you have a list of the type of television programs that you might see, including children's cartoons, daytime dramas, and late night talk shows. And across the table, the corresponding type of advertising that you might see primarily on these shows. So it's no big surprise that children's cartoons would have a lot of advertisements for children's toys and games. And then late night talk shows would have advertisings for snack foods and non-prescription sleep aids, and so on and so forth. The web gives companies an opportunity to present different store environments online. So if you visit the home pages of Talbot's or Juicy Couture, you're going to see that both pages are well designed and functional. However, they are targeting very different market segments. So Juicy Couture targets young, fashion-conscious buyers, and Talbot's is going to look a little bit older and more established. Here I have just a portion of the Juicy Couture website. And here you can see just a portion of the Talbots. And if we were to analyze these side by side, I'm sure you could see that there's a lot of differences in the models, in the way the models are displaying the clothing, in the fonts and the colors, and there are any number of differences between the two. So as you can imagine, retail stores having their limited floor and display space have a much more difficult time providing spaces for different market segments, and they usually have to choose their strongest. But web stores can have separate virtual spaces for different market segments, making them potentially a stronger way to reach existing and new clientele. You can even go so far on the web as to provide an almost one-on-one, one-to-one marketing. And this is a really highly customized approach of offering products and services that can match completely the needs of a particular customer. The example that our book gives is Dell Computer, and using Dell Premier accounts, the user is given a high level of you can customize your account pages to show the products for which price and terms have already been negotiated. Dell allows individual employees of its customers to create their own really highly personalized pages within the company's Premier pages. And it is very, very segmented, very customizable, but obviously takes a little bit more work and a little more staff to maintain, and maybe a little bit out of the reach of the up-and-coming business. In the physical world, businesses can sometimes create different experiences for customers in response to their needs. So a company might decide that its mission is to sell prepared meals to hungry customers, and a any given potential customer responds to hunger in different ways at different times. So if a person is hungry in the morning but late for work, they might drive through a fast food restaurant or grab a quick cup of coffee at a train station. The point being that the same person requires different combinations of products and services depending on the occasion. And in general, the creation of a separate experience for customers based on their behavior is called behavioral segmentation. Sometimes you can have segmentation that occurs at a specific time or occasion, and when this happens, behavioral segmentation is sometimes called occasion segmentation. And again, it's much easier in the online world to design a single website that meets the needs of visitors in different behavioral modes. Marketing researchers have studied how and why people prefer different combinations of products, services, and website features, and how these preferences are affected by their modes of interaction with the site. Customizing visitor experiences to match the site usage behavior patterns of each visitor or type of visitor is called usage-based market segmentation. Some visitors to a company's websites are just surfing or browsing. And so websites intended to appeal to potential customers in this mode have to offer something that grabs their interest. And the site often needs to include words that are likely to jog the memories of visitors who return to the website and remind them of something that they wanted to buy on the first visit. These keywords are called trigger words because they prompt a visitor to stay and investigate the products or services that are on the site. The longer that you can keep a potential customer on your site and the more favorable of an impression you leave, the more likely that the visitor will return and buy from your site in the future. Browsers are one type of visitor to a website, but buyers are quite another. Somebody who arrives on your website as a buyer is usually ready to make a purchase right away. And for that potential client, the best thing a site can offer is a direct route into the purchase transaction. You want to include a search box. So this is the person that knows exactly what they want from you. And you want to make it very easy for them to get to the item, make any sort of selection choices that they need to do, and then pop that item into the shopping cart. And the shopping cart is, as it sounds, it is the part of a website that keeps track of selected items for purchase and automates the purchase process. The shopping cart page should offer a link back into the shopping area as quickly as possible. You want them to be able to bounce back and forth from the cart to the shopping area and hopefully keep adding to the shopping cart. Another type of visitor is a shopper. So these would be customers arriving at a website knowing that there are items on the website that they are interested in. They're motivated to buy, but they're looking for a little more information before they make that purchase decision. So for the visitor who's in shopper mode, a site should offer things like comparison tools, product reviews, and lists of features. And remember that a person might visit a website one day as a browser and then return later as a shopper or a buyer. People don't retain behavioral categories from one visit to the next, even for the same website. Although most companies work with the 3 visitor categories that we just went over, other researchers are exploring these alternative models. So a lot of website visitor behavior is not well understood. And one study by McKinsey and Company looked at the online behavior of 50,000 active internet users and identified the 6 behavior-based categories of website visitors you see here. Simplifiers, surfers, bargainers, connectors, routiners, and Sportsters. Some of the objectives and websites characteristics that will attract these 6 types of visitors are listed in figure 4.4. So for the surfer, they're looking for new information or new ideas. And so you would design your website to include content that is entertaining, attractive, well displayed, and constantly updated. Then there's a list of types of characteristics that might appeal to the bargainer, the connector, the routiner, and the sportster. Now, one goal of marketing is to create strong relationships between a company and the customers. The reason that one-to-one marketing is so valuable is that it helps to strengthen companies' relationships with their customers. And good customer experiences can create an intense feeling of loyalty towards the company and its products or services. Researchers have identified several stages of loyalty as customer relationships develop over time, and those stages include awareness, exploration, familiarity, and commitment. The commitment stage can last a long time, but sometimes there's a 5th stage. It is called separation. There's a decline in loyalty, and the relationship sometimes terminates. When you're looking at customer relationship and the life cycle segmentation, you want to be aware of contact points between the client and the company. Those can be online or offline, and those contact points are often called touch points. And one of the goals is providing a similar levels and quality of service at all the touch points, and that's called touch point consistency. There are characteristics in each of the 5 stages. So in the first stage of awareness, customers recognize the name of the company or one of its products, and they know that the company or the product exists, but they haven't yet had any interaction. When you advertise, you often create an awareness. In the exploration stage, customers are learning more about the company or its products. The potential customer might visit the website to learn more, and the 2 parties will often communicate via telephone or email. A very large amount of information can occur between the parties at this stage. When you become familiar with a company, you have usually completed several transactions and are aware of company policy regarding returns, credits, and pricing. And this is called the familiarity stage. At this stage, the customer is still just as likely to shop and buy from competitors as they are from your company. But hopefully they're heading towards the next stage, which is commitment. After experiencing a number of highly satisfactory encounters with a company, some customers will develop a fierce loyalty or a strong preference for the products or brands of that company. These customers are often willing to tell other people how happy they are with their interactions. And there are a couple of different ways to lure customers from the familiarity stage to the commitment stage. You might offer discounts or better terms. And because usually the value of the strong relationship is worth more to the company than those discounts or concessions. But over time, the conditions that made the relationship valuable could change. The customer might be disappointed in the changes in product or level of service, and sometimes the company will evaluate the relationship and conclude that maybe even though loyal and committed, a customer is simply costing too much to maintain. So as the intensity of that relationship changes, the parties enter into a separation stage. Any marketing strategy should be geared towards moving customers into the commitment stage as rapidly as possible and keeping there as long as possible. To increase sales and build market share, managers often have to have a good sense of how their companies acquire and retain customers. One of the models of customer acquisition is called the funnel model, and it's a conceptual tool that's used to understand the overall nature of a marketing strategy, but it also provides clear structure for evaluating specific strategy elements. So the funnel is very similar to the customer life cycle model we just talked about. However, the funnel is less abstract and does a better job of showing the effectiveness of two or more specific strategies. And figure 4.6 is a diagram. So start out with 500,000 ads. As viewers become interested, you have a small number of them become website visitors. And then you have an even smaller number of those visitors becoming shoppers. You have an even smaller number of those shoppers that will actually complete their purchase. And then you have a very much reduced but valuable number of purchasers that will become repeat buyers and loyal customers. The benefits of acquiring new visitors are different for web businesses with different revenue models. You have to look at the total amount of money that a site spends on average to draw one visitor to the site, because that amount is called the acquisition cost. The second step you want to take is to convert the first-time visitor into a customer. This is called a conversion, and conversion cost is the total amount of money a site spends to induce a visitor to purchase or subscribe or register. For many web businesses, the conversion cost is greater than the profit earned on the average sale. In this case, the web business has to induce a customer to return to the site and buy again. Customers who return to the site one or more times after making the first purchase are called retained customers. And that cost of inducing a customer to return to a website and buy again is called retention costs. Companies have found that measuring acquisition, conversion, and retention costs is important because it gives them an idea of which advertising and promotion strategies are successful. Now, advertising. Advertising is all about communication. The communication could be between a company and the current customers, potential customers, or even former customers that the company would like to regain. And to be effective, the message must be, you want different messages to each of those audiences, but each message should tie into or be an element of a common theme. So that 5-stage customer loyalty model that we looked at earlier can be helpful in creating messages to convey to each of these audiences. In awareness, you want to inform. In exploration, you want to explain how product works and encourage switching brands. In the familiarity stage, the message should convince customers to purchase products or request a call. In the commitment stage, the messages should reinforce the good feelings and remind customers to buy. And in the separation stage, of course, their customers are not targeted in those ads. And you want to coordinate those with any existing print, advertising, or other efforts. The first widely used method of advertising on the web was placement of display ads on web pages. A display ad is also known as a banner ad, and it's a rectangular object on a web page that displays a stationary or a moving graphic and includes a link to the advertiser's website. There's a variety of technologies, including Shockwave, Java, or Flash, that are used to make attention-grabbing ads that include audio and video elements. Although websites can create display ads in any dimensions, most advertisers decided that early on that it would be a good idea to standardize the sites. So the standard display ad sites that most webs have voluntarily agreed to use are called Interactive Marketing Unit, IMU, ad formats. The Interactive Advertising Bureau is a not-for-profit organization that promotes the use of internet advertising and encourages effective internet advertising and has established these voluntary standards. As the web grew, so did the creativity of web advertisers, and they were using an increasing number of IMU ad formats, including pop-ups, buttons, and ads that filled entire page borders. At one point, they were using more than 15 different IMU, and the IAB decided to encourage its members to use only 4 standard formats called the Universal Ad Package, UAP. These include the leaderboard ad, which is a display ad designed to span the top or bottom of a web page, the skyscraper ad, which is a display ad designed to be placed on the side of a web page and remain visible as a user scrolls down through the page, and 2 sizes of rectangle ads. These 4 ad formats are shown in figure 4.7. And many advertisers will use these 4 standard formats because they know that almost every website will be able to display those ads in the formats properly. You can learn more about the display ads, including examples of the latest IAB approved sites, by following the web links to the IAB website. Companies have 3 different ways to arrange for other websites to host their display ads. The first is to use an ad exchange network, which coordinates ad sharing so that other sites will run one company's ad while that company's site runs another exchange member's ads. The second way is to find websites that appeal to one of the company's market segments and then pay those sites to carry ads. Unfortunately, this takes a little bit more time and effort. A third way is to use a display advertising network. It's a broker between advertisers and websites that carry ads. The larger networks like DoubleClick, which is owned by Google, offer many of the same services as comprehensive ad agencies. There are some new strategies for display ads. Click-through rates now range from 0.3% to 0.5%, depending on the site's content. Although some research suggests that website visitors see and are influenced by display ads that they do not click, advertisers are reluctant to pay for ads that do not produce directly marketable or measurable results. To battle the decrease in click-through rates, display designers first introduced animated GIFs or GIFs with moving elements in the hopes that they might be more attractive to the user's eye. When animated GIFs or GIFs failed to halt the decline, they created ads that included rich media effects like video clips. They also added interactive effects by writing Java programs that could respond to a user's click with some action. Some designers created display ads that appear to be dialog boxes in the hope that confused users would click them. And some of these are shown in figure 4.8. Intrusive ad formats are things like the pop-up ad. A pop-up ad is an ad that appears in its own window when the user opens or closes a web page. And the window in which the ad appears does not include the usual browser controls. The only way to dismiss that ad is to find and click a small, often hard to identify, close button or link that might appear anywhere in the windows. Many users find pop-up ads extremely annoying, but some advertisers still find them effective. Some users have responded by using ad blocking software that prevents display ads and pop-up ads from loading. Most web browsers can be configured not to display many of these ads. However, any site that uses methods for navigation that are similar to those used to deliver ads, such as pop-up information windows, cannot operate as intended in the reconfigured browser. It's interesting to note that some researchers have found that beyond annoying users, pop-up ads actually create long-lasting bad will among users towards the company whose products are depicted in the ads. So proceed with caution. And then another intrusive ad format is the interstitial ad. When a user clicks a link to load a page, the interstitial ad will open in its own browser window instead of the page that the user intended to load. And the general meaning of the word interstitial is something that comes between two other things. Many interstitial ads close automatically, but others require the user to click a button before they close. They are also larger and even more annoying than pop-ups. Rich media ads generate graphical activity that float over the web page instead of opening in a separate window. They always contain moving graphics, and they usually contain audio and video elements. Video ads are a form of rich media ad, and they're used on anything that delivers video. They can be either freestanding or integrated into videos the site visitor selects to watch. And a pre-roll video ad is something that you've probably all seen on YouTube. It requires the visitor to view all or part of an ad before the content that you originally selected will play. And most of these ads are 10 to 30 seconds long. Figure 4.9 shows the average time spent hours per day in 2016 with various types of media, so that you can see that television is still the largest. Desktop internet has been overtaken by mobile internet, and print and radio are shrinking to almost inconsequential numbers. Another type of ad is a text ad, and it would be a short promotional message that doesn't use any kind of graphics and is often placed along the top or right side of a web page. Google was the first company to use text ads successfully on the web, and they placed text ads on the search results pages. When you visit Google and use it to search for information, the page that provides the links relevant to your search query will also include short text ads for products or services that are related to your search query. Google found that these ads were less obtrusive than display ads, but they are very effective, probably because they are related somewhat to what you were looking for. And now they were criticized for including unobtrusive ads, and now they are clearly labeled. And I'm sure you've seen that. Just go to Google, type in a search for something, and you will see the first few that pop up are all ads. And they're clearly labeled ads. With the increase in mobile device use, like smartphones and tablets, there's been a lot of demand for mobile device advertising. Mobile apps, which are a short form of the term mobile software applications, provide a variety of functions like calendar, contact management, web browsing, email, entertainment. And some of the sellers of mobile apps include an advertising element in their revenue models. These apps would include mobile ads that would display messages from advertisers other than the seller of the app. For example, if you have the mobile app of the New York Times on your phone or tablet, there's a small bar at the bottom of the screen that will display ads. The advertising space on mobile apps is sold the same way that display advertising on websites is sold. And mobile advertising is one of the fastest growing types of online promotion, driven by the rapid growth of the use of mobile devices and apps. Site sponsorships are when a website offers an advertiser the opportunity to sponsor all or part of their site, and this gives advertisers a chance to promote products, services, or brands in a more subtle way than placing a display or pop-up on the site. Their goals are similar to sporting event sponsors, television program sponsors, and those are to tie the company or the product name to an event, a set of information. There are some ethical concerns if a sponsor allows the company to create content or to weave advertising into the site's content, and it should always clearly be identified as advertisement. There was a little bit of an uproar on Instagram. Sponsored posts now have to be clearly identified on Instagram as being sponsored. You always want to measure your cost and effectiveness of online advertising. So it's the issue of measuring effectiveness has become even more important. When you advertise through mass media, you measure estimates of audience size, circulation, number of addresses, and when a company purchases mass media advertising, it pays a dollar amount for every 1,000 people in the estimated audience. This pricing metric is called cost per thousand, or CPM, with the M being from the Roman numeral for thousand. Measuring web audiences is a little bit more complicated because of the interactivity and because the value of a visitor to an advertiser depends on how much information the site gathers from the visitor. An alternative to CPM for online advertising is called cost per click, CPC, in which the site monitors the number of visitors who click on an ad and charges for each click rather than for each time the ad is shown. However, CPC measures are different to compare with CPM measures used in all other outside of online modes of advertising. A visit occurs when a visitor requests a page from the website. Further page loads from the same site are counted as part of the visit for a specific period of time. This period of time is chosen by the administrators of the site and depends on the type of the site. A site that has stock quotes might use a short time period because the visitor might just load a page and check the prices of one or two stocks and reload the page 15 minutes later to check. A museum site would expect a visitor to load multiple pages over a longer amount of time during a visit and would use a longer visit time window. The first time that a particular visitor loads a website page is called a trial visit, and subsequent page loads are called repeat visits. Every page loaded by a visitor counts as page view, and if the page contains an ad, the page load is called an ad view. Some web pages have display ads that continue to load and reload as long as the page is open. Every time the display ad loads is an impression. If the visitor clicks the display ad to open the advertiser's page, that action is called a click or click-through. Figure 4.10 shows some cost per thousand for various media, television, cable TV, radio, blah, blah, blah. Down here towards the bottom, you'll see online display ads, video ads. Cost per thousand is lower than network television and cable television. So you can kind of get a comparison there. It is difficult for companies to gauge the costs and benefits of advertising on the web. Companies have tried to develop new metrics to evaluate their advertising yields. Some will measure the number of new visitors to their site who buy for the first time, and then they can calculate the advertising cost of acquiring one customer on the web and compare that to how much it costs them to acquire one customer through traditional channels. Most marketing analysts do agree that online advertising is much more effective if it is properly targeted. There are also companies out there that do nothing but help you define your target and can make your advertising dollars go much farther. Another important part of online communication and advertising is email marketing. Sociologists and cultural anthropologists have proclaimed email to be one of the greatest tools for human communication to be developed in the 20th century. Because it is such a vital method of communication, it's very desirable for businesses. Many businesses would like to use email and use their email messages to announce new products or new product features or sales on existing products. However, the industry has had some problems with some company who are sending emails that were unsolicited and undesired. So there are some new guidelines, especially if you use an email marketing company like, I'm drawing a blank. It'll probably come up in a minute. So spam is unsolicited commercial email. It's also known as bulk mail or UCE. It's electronic junk mail, and it can include solicitations, advertisements, or email chain letters. And the term spam, believed to have come from a song by the group Monty Python about Hormel's canned meat product. In the song, an increasing number of people join in repeating the song's chorus, which is spam, 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 lovely spam, wonderful spam. And just as in the song, email spam is a tireless repetition of meaningless text. Spam wastes time and storage space on individuals' computers and servers, and it consumes bandwidth on the internet. So there's been a lot of pressure to reduce spam. And again, I can't think of the names of the companies right now, but if you go through a company that is designed to help you develop effective email marketing, they will make sure that you have customer approval prior to sending out emails from your company, and they will encourage you to keep and update your list. You also have to provide an unsubscribe button that is easy for the customer to find, and all of this is designed to reduce the number of spam emails. So many businesses are finding that they can maintain an effective dialogue with their customers by using automated email because of the low cost. The conversion rate of an advertising method is the percentage of recipients who respond to an ad or promotion. Conversion rates on requested email messages range from 10% to more than 30%. So these are much higher than the click-through rates on display ads, which are currently under 0.5% and decreasing. The practice of sending email messages to people who request information on a particular topic is called opt-in email and is part of a marketing strategy called permission marketing. Oh, and here we have the companies. Constant Contact is one of the largest. One strategy for getting email accepted by customers that many companies have found successful is to combine some kind of useful content with an advertising email message. Advertisers send content not by clogging up an email with video files or audio files or big graphics, but they'll insert a hyperlink into the email message. And the hyperlinks will take the customer right to the content, which is most often stored on the company's website. Then once they're on the website, it's easier to induce them to stay on the site and consider making a purchase. You want to make sure that coordination across media outlets is considered in any of your marketing strategies. So you want to maintain consistency with all of your messaging. You can find great companies that you can outsource your email processing to, and that can save you and your staff a lot of time and effort. So there'll be some links at the end of the chapter for some of those companies. There's a lot of information that you can gain about your customers on the internet. And that information includes things like which pages were viewed and how long each page was viewed, the sequence, and so on. And that information is called clickstream. When you're selling and promoting on the web, this type of technology-enabled relationship is important when you're creating ads and communicating with your customers. And technology-enabled relationship management occurs when a firm obtains detailed information about a customer's behavior, preferences, needs, and buying habits, and uses that information to set prices, negotiate terms, tailor promotions, add product features, and otherwise customize the entire relationship with that company. Technology-enabled relationship management is often called Customer Relationship Management, or CRM. And you can find companies that this is all they do is help you gather this information and use it. These are some in Figure 4.11. These are some of the relationship managements that you can have and compares them to traditional relationships. Customer relationship management is important because it is information that allows you to customize the messages that you are sending to your customers. In a CRM system, the multiple sources of information about customers' preferences and behavior is entered into a large database called the data warehouse. On a regular basis, analysts will query the data warehouse using software to perform data mining and statistical modeling. Data mining, which is also called analytical processing, is a technique that will examine the stored information and look for patterns in the data that are not yet known or suspected. Statistical modeling is a technique that tests theories that customer relationship management analysis have about relationships between elements of customer and sales data. For example, a statistical model could be used to test whether free shipping increases sales enough to cover the cost of offering the free shipping. Good CRM systems gather information from every customer touch point, and in Figure 4.10 you can see the elements of a typical CRM system. Now we're going to take a quick look at creating and maintaining brands on the web and the different elements of branding. A known and respected brand name can present to potential customers a powerful statement of quality, value, and other desirable characteristics in one recognizable element. You want to create a strong brand. Brands like Ivory Soap, Walt Disney Entertainment, Maytag Appliances, and Ford Automobiles have been developed over many years with the expenditure of tremendous amounts of money. But the value of these and other trusted major brands has now far exceeds the cost of creating them. Branded products are easier to advertise and promote. There are three key brand elements. One is that product differentiation clearly distinguishes your product. It's the first condition that must be met to create a product or service brand. You have to be able to clearly distinguish your product from all the others on the market. This makes branding difficult for commodity products, but not impossible. And a classic example of branding a near commodity product is the creation of the Ivory brand more than 100 years ago. During the process of developing the recipe for this Ivory soap, one of the workers noted that the soap floated in water, and the company decided to sell the soap using this differentiating characteristic. And that's how Ivory Soap brand was born. The second element is relevance. And relevance is the degree to which the product offers utility to a potential customer. So the brand only has meaning to a customer if they can visualize its place in their lives. And the third branding component, perceived value, is a key element in creating a brand that has value. Even if your product is different from others on the market and the potential customers can see themselves using this product, they will not buy it unless they perceive value. Now, unfortunately, brands can lose their value if the environment in which they have become successful changes. And an example of this would be the Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC. For years, DEC was the leading manufacturer of mid-range computers. When the market for computing shifted to personal computers, DEC found that its branding did not transfer to the personal computers that it produced. The consumers in the market did not see the same perceived value or differentiation in DEC's personal computers that the buyers of the mid-range systems had for years. And this is an important element for branding on web-based firms because the web is still evolving and changing at a rapid pace. 4.13 sums up the elements of a brand. Companies have traditionally used emotional appeals in advertising and promotions. Some branding experts have described the word brand, as an emotional shortcut between a company and its customers. However, emotional appeals can be difficult to convey on the web because it's an active medium controlled to a great extent by the customer. More marketers are attempting to create and maintain brands on the web by using rational branding. Companies that use rational branding offer to help web users in some way in exchange for their viewing an ad. And these types of ads, this type of rational branding relies on the cognitive appeal of the specific help offered, not a broad emotional appeal. A tool that many new low-budget websites are using to generate revenue is affiliate marketing. In affiliate marketing, one firm's website, the affiliate firm, includes descriptions, reviews, ratings, or other information about a product that is linked to another firm's site that offers that item for sale. For every visitor who follows a link from the affiliate site to the seller's site, the affiliate receives a commission. And the affiliate saves the expense of handling inventory, advertising, and promoting, and processing the transaction. Amazon.com is one of the first companies to create a successful affiliate program on the web. One of the more interesting marketing approaches made possible on the web is cause marketing, which is an affiliate marketing program that benefits a charitable organization. These are some common things. Pay-per-click pays a commission every time a visitor clicks the link and loads the seller's page. Pay per conversion pays when a visitor becomes a qualified prospect or customer. An affiliate program broker serves as a clearinghouse for sites interested in affiliate programs. And cause marketing benefits a charitable organization. Viral marketing strategies relies on existing customers to tell prospective customers about products or services. Blue Mountain, which is an electronic greeting card company, purchased very little advertising but grew rapidly. When people received a Blue Mountain Arts electronic greeting card by email, the link that they clicked to open the card led to the Blue Mountain Arts website, and then they were more likely to search for cards that they might in turn send to other friends. And the company built a large following using this approach to viral marketing. Social media marketing is also viral marketing, and it's very much in a state of change right now. But the traditional advice is to use an indirect approach when you're advertising on social media. So you might encourage the community to discuss the desirability of a product or service. You may use other tactics to develop a devoted following that will turn into customers and in turn encourage other customers to visit your site. Here is figure 4.14, which shows viral marketing through social media. Emily is off to the mall. She wants to score some Fuzzter boots. She has a tag, Emily's friends. See all of her posts. Some of them might share them, and now an increased number are exposed to the Fuzzter brand name. There's a lot more to social media than that, but we can talk more about that down the road a little bit. It's important when you're deciding what to name your site to think about search engine positioning and domain names. There are several ways that potential customers can find a website. They might be referred by a friend. They might find a link on a referring website. They might see a referral by an affiliate marketing partner. They might see the site's URL in some other kind of advertisement on the television or in print. Or they might unintentionally visit after mistyping a similar URL, or they may use a search engine. Search engines are websites that help people find things on the web. They contain three major parts, the first of which is called a spider, a crawler, or a robot, or sometimes simply a bot. And it's a program that automatically searches the web to find web pages that might be interesting to people. When the spider finds web pages, it collects the URL and the information contained on the page. And this information might include the page's title, keywords, and information about other pages on that website. In addition to words that appear on the website, website designers can specify additional keywords in the page that are hidden from the view of the website visitors but are visible to spiders. Keywords are enclosed in an HTML tag set called meta tags. The word meta is used for this tag set to indicate that the keywords describe the content of a web page and are not themselves part of the content. The spider returns this information to the second part of the search engine to be stored. The storage element of a search engine is called the index or database. The index checks to see if the information about the web page is already stored. If it is, it compares the stored information to the new information and determines whether to update the page information. The index is designed to allow fast searches of very large amounts of stored information. The third part of the search engine is the search utility. Visitors to the search engine site provide search terms, and the search utility takes those terms and finds entries for websites in its index that match those search terms. Search engines use factors to determine which URLs appear first on searches for a search term, so marketers want to make sure that their company's URLs appear right up among the first 10 returned listings. Now, the weightings of the factors that search engines use to determine which URLs appear first is called a search engine ranking. And the way that they rank is constantly changing. It's impossible to know exactly how to rank high. But the art and science, and it is an art and science, of having your URL listed near the top of search engine results is called search engine positioning, search engine optimization, or search engine placement. There are lots of people out there that are experts at SEO, but there are also things that you as a web designer or owner of a company can do to ensure that you get good placement. There are some ways that you can get good ad placement at a price. So some search engines will offer companies a paid placement, which is the option of purchasing a top listing for a particular set of search terms. This is also called sponsorship or search term sponsorship. And the rates for these paid placements will vary tremendously, just depending on the desirability of the search term to potential sponsors. So if you search for something like rental car, it's going to be a lot more expensive, or that search term rental car will be a lot more expensive than a search term like frictionless ball bearing. Search engine positioning is a complex subject. Some sites use search engine placement brokers to sell ads, and Google uses AdWords programs. And contextual advertising is ads placed in proximity to related content, and localized advertising is ads related to location on search results. Okay, there are some figure 4.15 shows online advertising expenditures all the way through 2017. And then 4.6 is global advertising expenditures by the medium. There are some website naming issues that you should be aware of. URLs should reflect the company name or the reputation, because they are an important part of establishing a web presence. If you have a troublesome domain name, it can lead to purchasing more suitable domain names at a higher cost. And the example in your book is iFlySWA changed to southwest.com. And they had to, people often snap up domain names in order to sell them to you or someone else. So you want to consider your domain name carefully right from the very start. You might also consider buying more than one domain name, and this can prevent some problems due to misspelled words. Go ahead and think about that. Think about anything that a potential customer might be tempted to type in. And especially if they're inexpensive, as they often are, before a company or a name gets established, then just go ahead and snap those up right away. As an example, ArtUframe purchased the URL art.com and had a 30% increase in site traffic the next day. And when that company failed, the domain name was bought by another art company who had a 100% increase in site visitors the first month. So the right URL can really make a difference. The market for domain names continues to be active. Names that include general topic terms often bring high prices. Many are invested in highly desirable domain names, and leasing the rights to domain names is an option that's usually done through URL brokers. Here are, in figure 4.7, shows you some of the domain names that sold for more than $5 million. And here's a little bit about URL brokers. They sell, lease, auction valuable domain names. Unissued or unused domain names can be purchased from a domain registrar, and most often at a much reduced price. Registrars will offer domain name search tools so that you can look for some of your ideas and see if they're available. And then domain name parking or hosting is a service permitting the domain name purchaser to maintain a simple website so that the domain name remains in use. And the fees for that are much lower than a typical website. Okay, and that wraps up Chapter 4. You can read more about learning from failures and a quick summary on page 203. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back next week.